Guys, we're going to get started here. My name is Brooke Spagnolia. I work over in the recruitment department here at Camden County College, as well as the tutoring center. So if you guys have any questions throughout this presentation, I want you to feel free to ask me throughout it. So testing anxiety. First way we're going to start this presentation is by taking a short test. Okay, so this test doesn't mean anything. I just wanted you guys to kind of feel the anxiety of having a test get thrown at you right at the beginning of a workshop that's for testing anxiety. So does anybody want to share some of the thoughts they felt when I came in here and just gave a test to you right away?
No.
Not so much fun, right? You kind of want the tips to help. So this is just to kind of get your mind flowing with how it feels when you have a test. So the first thing we're going to start in was to walk into your test with confidence. This is really important because how you approach a test is how well you're going to do on it. You can have studied all night, and if you walk into that test thinking that you're going to do bad, you most likely are going to do poorly because your mind's not there with the material that you know. So a great way that you can kind of figure that out is to kind of make sure that you walk into your test having developed what you need to do well. So whether it's organizing or creating a study guide, it's always important to ease your anxiety if you have everything you need. So we'll go over some of the steps that you can do this. Allow this test to be a reward for the hard work that you've put into preparing. This is a great opportunity if you can kind of prove yourself to your teachers, to your family, and to your occupation someday. You can find ways to help your confidence by journeying down these negative thoughts. So a lot of times with anxiety, I'm getting my master's at Eastern University to become a school psychologist. So I'm studying all different ways to kind of control these emotions. And one of the number one things that we tell our patients is to kind of journal down these feelings of anxious negativity. You want to get them out on paper and then kind of look at them to kind of gauge how realistic they are. If you study, you most likely won't fail. So you can kind of control those emotions. You can also give yourself little pep talks. This sounds kind of silly, but even on your way to the test in the car, turn the radio off for a few minutes and kind of say, hey, I can do this. I know you guys all have social media. You ever see those things on Facebook where it's kind of like, throw your hair in a bun and put your lipstick on and kind of push through, and for guys, tie your sneakers and keep going. Just little things like that. Find ways to motivate yourself. Another thing you keep in check is, don't get down on yourself. You can do this. This is college. It's kind of by your own control. You schedule your classes. You control everything here. So this is your chance to kind of prove yourself. So again, we're going to go over some steps. Good study habits. Now, previous workshop was on study skills. If you didn't attend, that's okay. But main things with study skills is, location. Take the breaks that you need. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're finding the time to fit in for your classes and not just kind of pushing through and hoping for the best. So you can also organize your materials that need to be studied. So if you have 5 classes this semester and you know that you really struggle with science or English, put this at the top of your list. Make sure that you have the most time to focus on them. Kind of knock out your other classes first and then just allow all that time for those 2 classes. Take it step by step. So if you want to build an outline, sometimes that's a really great way. If you put on there that on Monday you're going to go through the key terms, and then Tuesday you're going to answer the guided questions in the chapter, and then the third day you're going to print the teacher's lectures out. If you take it day by day, the testing material won't look so overwhelming, and you'll feel more confident when you go into the test because you did go over each one of those steps. And be aware of outside pressures. So I know that a lot of us have families, a lot of us have jobs, a lot of us even fit time just to go to the gym. You have to kind of allow those things that they're going to happen. You're going to have other things that you want to focus on. So kind of just gauge your time that, I have a test coming up, and take your notes to the gym, take your notes to work. Find those little times throughout the day that you can focus on your schoolwork, even if it's just for 10, 15 minutes. And review your previous test performance. This can be actually really great. So even if it's from a different subject, you can see how well you've done on a previous test. Maybe you're making the same mistakes. Maybe it's just you're not reading the questions thoroughly or the directions thoroughly. This can really help you see where you're making those mistakes. So you want to learn the test material to the best of your ability. You can create a checklist. This is really great too, kind of along the lines of organizing. So I'm very big on lists, and I'm learning in school right now for school psychology. We do lists for everything. Even just we encourage our patients, goal settings is so important. So even just to make a quick list, like we went over key terms, or even I'm going to donate just Monday to my science class, or just Tuesday to my math class. That can help you kind of gauge where you're going. And another thing with doing this, is you have this availability, if you do it early on, to kind of reach out to your professors and say, hi, I went through some of this material and these terms right here, I'm completely lost. Can you go over it again with me? Your teachers are there to help you, and if you go to them, they'll be the best, source of information for you. Your test location. So for some of you who are taking online quizzes or in-classroom quizzes, another thing is to remember that you're in control. Take those slow, deep breaths. As silly as it is, sometimes breathing makes you more anxious. It's important to kind of find your center when you sit down and you take this test. Don't think about fear and stay on task. Take each question one by one. Another important thing is when you enter your classroom, if you guys have a group of friends, don't sit with your friends that day. Because you never know, Becky or Sally could tell you some drama that happened over the weekend, and know that's all you can think about. And everything you just studied went right out your head. And now you're so worried about Becky and Sally that everything's ruined. So don't sit with your friends that day. Just keep yourself focused, sit by yourself, come in there, have a couple minutes. You don't want to be late to class. Just feel, take the necessary precautions to do well. Be aware of how you've done so far and that you are doing your best. So another thing with keeping positive on yourself, that's so important. If you come into everything negative, you're most likely going to have a negative outcome. And expect anxiety. It's normal to have anxiety with a test. It's like anything. I'm nervous being up here. It's normal to feel those feelings. It's part about being human. So start preparing for your test as soon as you know about it. This is really important too, because if you start early on, it really does allow you time to kind of get the questions that you don't know answered. Kind of reach out and talk to more of your friends. You can create a study buddy, have somebody to talk to throughout everything, and clarify different things with. And this is kind of what I was going over. Avoid chatting with your classmates because it is a big distraction. Now this is the most important thing because most anxiety is stemmed from poor eating habits and poor sleeping habits. So for those of you that work night shifts or anything like that, make sure you're finding that time of the day that you are resting. You are eating a normal balanced meal. If you have a test early in the morning, make sure you get up a couple hours ahead of time. And I know that might be a struggle for some of those 8 a.m.s, but if you're awake for 2 hours prior to your test, your mind's going to be actively already thinking and ready. Eat a big breakfast and be ready. And I actually included up here some of the foods. So fruits and vegetables are actually recommended to reduce the stress. And this is another big thing. How many of you live off of coffee? I know, I'm right there with you. It causes so much more anxiety because it's caffeine. And caffeine spikes your heart rate, which causes your nerves to shake. So, and when you go into a test and you're already like this, it makes it a lot harder to access that information. Even if you know it's the best of your ability, your mind's going to be scattering because your heart rate's so pressed up. So it's important that, if you're going to have that cup of coffee, have it a couple hours prior to that test so that it's not just in your system and it's not just sparking all of those nerves. So this is really important too. So reading the test. You want to read the directions. I know this is like a huge thing and everybody always skips the directions. I do it all the time. I kind of see the test and I just want to start answering questions. See, that does happen a lot. Because a lot of times the questions, even if it's a fill in the blank, there might be a word bank at the end of the test, but because you didn't read the directions, you never looked at the word bank. So another thing with this is to budget your test taking time. So if you don't know the answer to something, continue to move on. Circle that number and go back to it. You don't want to spend 15 minutes on question 12 and never make it to the end of the test, which is maybe 50 questions. And don't panic. There's no reward for finishing first. Take all the time that's allotted to you because it's hard when you start seeing your friends get done or you start seeing someone else get done. You kind of want to follow in that and be like, oh, I just want to get this done. I want to get this over with. Take your time. It's so important. Go back and recheck those answers because a lot of the times that's where we make our small mistakes. So this is important too. If you are aware that you have testing anxiety, which I do, 100%, let your teachers know. It's silly and they might say, too bad, get over it. At least they kind of know where you're at. And then this way you can kind of take those steps and you're a little bit more comfortable with the fact that, these things are difficult and that tests are not easy for anybody. And your teachers do know that maybe this test might be a little bit more frustrating for you. And that's it. So, do you guys have any questions about anything? Yes?
So sometimes I get to the test and I like can't remember what I was looking at.
You kind of blank out.
Yeah, what
Okay.
would you recommend for doing that?
So usually if that kind of starts to happen to you, kind of take a step back, put the test away from you, close your eyes, and regain yourself. Give yourself that, I know you're like panicking, it's timed, I don't have enough time. Give yourself 2 minutes to just kind of say, okay, I can do this. What did I look at last night? Just kind of finding your center again. As silly as it seems, and you might think that's not going to help me, it will, I promise. Take that minute to kind of say, okay, it's going to be all right. I'm going to pass. If I don't pass, I have a chance to bring it up. I can talk to my professor afterwards. It's not the end of the world. We'll go through the necessary options. Let's do the best we can.
Okay.
Kind of give yourself those pep talks.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, if you guys ever need any help with anything, even if you want to bring your notes to me during the week or anything like that, I can always kind of go over the best ways to study certain material with you, or kind of recap on any of the workshops that you've missed, whether it's note-taking, study tips, or even if you want to go over some more anxiety questions. I am in school with my master's degree for a lot of these types of things, so I'm always open here to help anybody who needs it.
Why don't you give them your email address?
Yes, of
in case they
course.
want to contact you?
So I'm going to spell it for you because my last name's kind of Spagnoli, so it's BSPAGNOLIA@camdencc.edu.
What are the answers?
BSPAGNOLIA@camdencc.edu.
What are the answers?
Oh, did you want the answers?
Yeah.
Sure. So the first one is the Cougars. The biggest campus is actually Blackwood. It was originated in 1967, and it's the Rutgers bachelor's degree. I'm glad you guys found that fun. See, your testing isn't that bad. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.